Hello there, it's Gabby here from Confidence After Cancer, and I hope this finds you well. Oh, it's December, and I don't know about you, but for me, this year has flown by. And what I'm going to talk today about in the podcast is December and how you can thrive. Because for some people, yes, December is the most wonderful time of the year. But for other people, it's not so easy for many different reasons. And I'm going to touch on some of those now. What can you do if you find December difficult? What can you do if you're going through a tough time? Or if you're not going through a tough time, but you are just like I used to be, a frantic mother, wife, employee, trying to juggle 100 things and trying to create the perfect Christmas for your family. What can you do if you find yourself in that situation? So I've got some thoughts for you today, and I hope you find them useful. Please let me know if you do. And it's going to start off with some sobering facts, really, not to scare you, but just the reality of it is that a lot of people struggle in December. You're not alone if you're feeling like it's a difficult time. And unfortunately, divorce rates are highest in January. I think December is at a time when a lot of people, any little cracks in their marriage seem to split right open over Christmas. And unfortunately, suicide rates are highest in December as well. So it's not always the most wonderful time of the year. And I think we need to be a bit mindful of that as well. I saw something the other day that was saying about retail workers as well. Can you imagine being a retail worker in this crazy time? I recently went to our Trafford Centre near me the other day. I don't go very often. And it was just carnage. It was full of people, jostling and pushing and shoving and not always displaying the best manners. And I just really feel for anybody who works in retail having to deal with that every day. But if you are feeling the strain, and I know this for many years because I was that woman who tried to do everything, I was a manager at work, so it wasn't always easy for me to get time off at work because holidays were limited and there was a rota. So I was like, yeah, I'll work. And one time I had 2 jobs over Christmas. I had a bar job as well. And so as well as doing that, as well as working, I was trying to be the perfect mother, get the perfect presents for my children, make sure the house was decorated in a perfect way, create the perfect Christmas, make sure that everybody got all their gifts. Back in the day as well, I used to write dozens and dozens of Christmas cards, which doesn't seem to be so much of a thing now, but that was another added pressure. And again, I'm speaking generally, but generally this seems to fall on the women in the family more than the men. And that's, years of conditioning. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying that's the way it should be, but I've been there. So my top tips really for dealing with any stresses that you're going through, if you're thinking about now coming up to Christmas, maybe you're dreading it. And I remember one of my clients recently I was working with was telling me that she was absolutely dreading Christmas Day and spending it with her mother, spending it with their family, and the dynamics that always seem to play out over Christmas when grown people, sometimes in the 40s, 50s, 60s, reverts into being stroppy teenager or whatever the role is that they play in their family. People can revert to that when they get with their families. And it's a very strange time when maybe you're not used to spending time with your mother or your family or your siblings. And then you are forced into being together, forced into jollity, forced into supposedly enjoying being together, and it's a very strange thing to do. So my top tips really are, first of all, have a plan. If you know that for a certain period of time, like with this lady I'm talking about, she sort of admitted, I can't really get out of Christmas Day without causing major ructions in the family. And also I want my daughter to see that, I am a good daughter as well. It's expected that I'm going to go to Christmas Day with my mother, who is going to push my buttons and say some things that are not very pleasant and act in not a very loving way. But I'm going to take my daughter, we're going to be with our family, and then do you know what, we're going to plan our own Boxing Day. We're going to have the Christmas Day that we really want, eat the food we want to eat, watch the crazy films we want to watch, shut the curtains, don't answer the door to anybody, and just have the Christmas Day that we want. And now she's got that plan in her mind. Christmas Day with her family and her a very critical mother is a lot easier for her to bear. So can you do that? If you've got something that you're absolutely dreading, I'm not here to tell you what to do. You know that. There's no judgment here. But could you have a plan to make it more bearable? Either avoid the event that you're dreading. If you don't really want to go, don't go. There's no rules that say you have to. But if you do want to go, if you think actually there's more things in favour of me going and grinning and bearing this thing, well, what can you do to make it bearable? Can you plan an alternative later that's a treat for you? Can you limit the time that you're with these people? Can you take a deep breath and think, whatever people say to me, I'm just going to smile, my Buddhist smile, and just wish them well, and know that hurt people hurt people. We can remember that sometimes people act in a very seemingly cruel way because they're not at ease with themselves. And if you can show them maybe a little bit of grace and compassion, and I know that's not always easy when your family are pushing your buttons, but a little bit of grace and compassion towards yourself as well goes a long way. If you are hosting an event, and I used to be guilty of this, I would run myself ragged. I would want everything to be perfect, spend hours shopping for the right food and the right decorations and the right everything. And then I felt almost like a martyr, like, it's always on me and I've got to do it all. Well, I didn't ask for help. So could you ask for help? It's just a thought. If you are in that situation where you're feeling that everything's on you and you've got just too much to do and you're feeling overwhelmed, could you ask for help? And also, if you are the sort of person that I used to be, where you volunteer to host events or, organize things, sometimes it helps just to take a breath and think before committing and think, is this something that I really want to do? Or actually, is it time to step back and let somebody else step up? The other thing it's always worth doing as well is to plan some time out. And it can be, I know the weather's a bit rubbish at the minute, but just getting out and getting into nature if you can, getting for a walk around the park or in a forest, or if you've got an attraction near you, you can go and have a walk around, wrap up warm if it's cold weather, and just get outside, time out and time away from the people that you're not enjoying being with. It can be a good thing as well. The other thing to do is, we all watch the movies where people have these wonderful Christmases and everybody loves each other and the children are always well behaved and everybody loves their presents. Just set realistic expectations. Real life isn't like that sometimes. And one of my cliches that I always say is you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. So people will be people. Let them do them. You do you. But just set realistic expectations. Nobody has a perfect family. Nobody has a perfect Christmas. There's no such thing. So if anything falls short, I did it one year, forgot the parsnips, and I was like, oh my God, I've ruined the Christmas dinner. It was still a nice dinner. We still had plenty to eat. We had far too much to eat. It didn't ruin everything. So just be a little bit kind to yourself. And think about, and I used to be so guilty of this little that nagging voice in your head that used to tell me, oh, you've messed that up again, or you rubbish you. Just stop it in its tracks. Give it a name if you want to. Give it a silly name, Negative Nelly, or whatever you want to call that little voice. Just tell her to be quiet. And I'm going to try and replace that. This is what I've done. And it's taken me quite some time to do this. I've replaced Negative Nelly's little voice with Positive Pamela. Positive Pamela will say, oh, you did well there, Gabby. That was really good. Even a silly thing like parking my car. I'm not great at parking. I will tell you that. Car park, reverse parking, parallel parking. It's a little bit of a mystery to me. I'm not great. I always look for a big space in a car park to park my car. But when I do nicely reverse into a space, I always give myself a little, well done, Gabby, that was good. And it might sound a bit crackers, but, there's enough critics in the world. You don't need to be another one. Stop criticizing yourself. So positive self-talk is always a good thing. And the other thing I would say is set boundaries. And again, with families, sometimes this is easier said than done. But just think, if you don't want to do something, do you really have to do it? And as long as you keep calm and don't bring up past arguments or past reasons why, just enough is to say, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to attend that event. No, it's not for me. I'll give it a miss this time. Don't explain yourself. Don't backtrack. Don't bring up, a lot of resentment that you may have that people have treated you badly. Just be very calm and clear about it. No, it's not for me this year. I'm not going to do that. And the other thing I would say, I'm a big fan of Mel Robbins. I don't know if you listen to Mel Robbins' podcast. She is one of the most popular podcasts in the world, apparently. And I listen to her and I try really hard not to copy her because I do admire her so much. But one of the things that she says, and it's her theory, or she talks about it a lot, and I love this, is her let them theory. And is if other people want to be difficult, other people want to act badly, other people want to do whatever they're doing, just let them. And she talks about sometimes, you could be really hurt that you see friends maybe on Facebook have gone to an event and not invited you. Just let them. Don't carry that resentment. Somebody else is doing something you don't approve of. Just let them. As I said before, you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. So at Christmas time, I would say, think about, is there any time, it doesn't have to be Christmas Day, in the scheme of things, it's just another day, and we big it up all year round. People spend an inordinate amount of money, sometimes getting into ridiculous debt just for one day of the year. But can you plan a perfect day for you? Doesn't have to be Christmas Day. It can be any day. I'm looking forward to a spa day with a good friend in January. And I'm also very lucky. I'm going on a retreat tomorrow in Bolton, near Manchester, and it's called Queen for the Day. And it's just about just taking time out, just stepping off the world, and just relaxing, and just doing some meditations, and just setting some intentions of what I want my life to be like. And I'm very blessed to be able to go on that. And if you can't go on a day retreat, but you can plan a perfect day for yourself, can't you? Whatever that looks like for you. For some people, it's being around people. For some people, it's being totally alone. And it might be that you can't do it in December, and it might be you have to wait till next year, but plan something, have something to look forward to. And just think about that, plan it in your mind, picture it in your mind, and tell yourself how nice it's going to feel when you are doing your day that's all for you. You are spending your time on your own. December has its challenges, but you can choose how you respond to those, my love. I know you can. And as always, if you need any help with anything, I'm here for you. If you are feeling overwhelmed, if it's all getting too much for you, especially if you think, actually, I'm coming towards the end of 2023, 2024 is on the horizon. I don't want next year to be like this year. I want to make some change in my life. If you're ready for that, I'm here for you. I'm a coach. I've got coaching programs. There's no such thing as a set program. I work with clients very much led by them. Our first session is usually a long session to get into what it is that they want to change, what it is in their life that's working well, what in their life that's working not so well. And it may be they think they've got a problem. So many times I've seen this, and I've got some great testimonials from my lovely clients who come to me with a problem saying, well, there's nothing I can do about XYZ. There is always something you can do. I will guarantee you that. Okay. I can guarantee whatever it is in your life, if you're willing to do the work and you are willing to change, because, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So if you're ready to change what isn't working for you, and you'd like my help with that, get in touch. You know where I am. I'd love to hear from you. As always, have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for listening. Stay safe. Love you lots. Take it easy. Bye-bye.